Okay, film fans, if you like the worst of movies with the best of movies, at least when awards come and you get to make fun of them, we have the Razzie co-chiefs here, John Wilson, who is the founder and chief of the Razzies, and we have Maureen Murphy, Mo, what is your actual title?
Oh, co-founder.
Oh, co-founder. Oh, okay, wonderful. And in the division of labor here at the Razzies, you kind of do more tech stuff. And how do the duties separate here between you guys?
Well, the way I kind of I'm more of the blank page, the creative, coming up with the different you know, from the videos and that and the concepts and framing new ideas about the Razzies and what we can do with them.
Okay, well, let's keep going with that, Mo, with you for a second here, because you folks have made a very interesting transition recently. I used to go to the Razzies ceremony every year, which was fun. I was there the year of the Sandra Bullock, when she pulled that little wagon out with all the DVDs of All About Steve on it.
That she could not give away.
Oh, that's right. So, but now you have a video strategy for your award nominations and wins, right? Maureen, explain, since you're head of video, what's that strategy?
Well, the idea is, and we have been approached to do a live show, and we're not there yet because the deal hasn't worked for us like what we want it to. We want to be an absolute part of the creative, because we've put it together all these years. And what we've been able to do is to do it on a dime, but we need to do it on $1 now. So and we want the right deal. So in lieu of that, we've done the live shows, but it was our strategy to step back a second and do it, you know, because we want to pay people. We want to pay people for their time. And so we thought, you know what, between the two of us, we can do what we've done in the last couple of years with the videos and wait for the right deal and the right time and the right partner to do a live show that we really feel could be really great and funny and fun and impactful.
Well, that's where John comes in here, John. I think what some people understand is that humor plays such a large role in the Razzies, and you're the funniest guy I know, John. So
well, thank you.
Pick it up from there on the humor side. Some people just don't understand that it's very serious on one hand, but also it's hilarious.
Well, it actually is an opinion expressed by a fairly large voting membership, but the intent is humorous. We like to say we are not a slap in the face. We're a banana peel on the floor. And we're not saying, how dare you? We're saying, why did you? If you're Helen Mirren and you've got 82 scripts coming over your transom every week, how on earth did you pick Winchester?
I've taken the tour of the Winchester house in San Jose. And when I heard about that movie in the works, I went, oh, I want to see that. But I never get around to see it.
Go ahead, Mel.
Oh, sorry. I saw, I mean, it's an incredible story. And what they did with it, I was looking forward to the movie, and what they did with it was just like, oh my God, no.
Oh, no.
Well, Winchester is one of the worst picture nominees, and the others are Robin Hood, Holmes and Watson, The Happy Time Murders, and Gotti. And when I look at this list, and I don't know which one is worse than the others, how do I vote as a voter?
You're actually supposed to see these things, Mark.
We don't. Surprisingly, the studios do not send Razzie screeners to our members. But we're going on the assumption that the voting members have seen this stuff. I personally feel obligated. I have not seen everything that our members nominated this year. I have some unfortunate hours ahead of me watching those. But whatever your own personal spin of worst is, some people vote for the stuff that just offends the crap out of them. Some people vote for the stuff that's bad in a way that's actually entertaining. I don't know if you can tell, behind me I have the poster of one of the great entertaining bad movies of all time, Xanadu.
That actually, you were so outraged by that caused you to start the Razzies in a way, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do the film studios ever reach out to you and say, thank you for nominating us because you increased our DVD sales, you increased our streaming sales?
We actually halfway through our history, MGM decided to try re-releasing Showgirls as an interactive midnight movie, hoping to emulate Rocky Horror. And they sent a 300-pound transvestite to accept Worst Picture. And the night before we did the ceremony, Paul Verhoeven, who, you know, it's his baby, ugly as it is, but Paul Verhoeven showed up, and we had to have him and the transvestite together at the podium accepting Worst Picture. I think you can market a movie as being entertainingly bad. It's very rarely done. But yeah, I do think these days, with all the snark that's out there on the internet, it should be possible to say, yeah, this thing really stinks, and boy, you're going to enjoy it. And, you know, I have a framed copy of the poster. The first thing it said on the poster for Showgirls as a Midnight Movie was winner of an unprecedented 7 Razzie Awards. So it can be a marketing tool. The studios are understandably leery of it, but we did also, when Catwoman swept I think it was the 25th awards, and Halle Berry showed up. That clip is on our YouTube channel.
Standing room only, and I had to stand in the back.
Yeah. We actually, that's the only time we ever turned people away at the door, because it was just too full. The fire marshals were going to shut down the show. But we checked, and the rental figures on Catwoman spiked the week after it won all the awards, and she accepted it. So it can have a positive impact. Not enough to, you know, counterpoint the stinker you left in the middle of the floor there, fella. But
and also if they own it, you know, it helps as well, you know, instead of hiding from it. You know, if Adam Sandler had really stepped up and owned his Razzies, you know, he'd look a lot better now. You know, as people have.
And I think that now that you have video, it's easier for them to own it, because they can just like The Rock did. Dwayne Johnson recently just tweeted things out. Because it would have been. I remember the old days, because we go back, the three of us, many years, and I was trying to help you get some of the winners there, and they did not have such a good sense of it. But I think that with this kind of distance, this comfortable distance they can create now, this safe zone, that you're probably getting more cooperation now, right?
Oh yes, I mean, we did with Dinesh D'Souza, you know, who you know, just sent in selfies, you know, and you know, we played with it, and it's, you know, we're very respectful of the artists that come back to us, and you know, and then we you know, we incorporate it with a little bit of sense of humor. But you know, technically it's a very simple way to respond. And I think the most important thing is to respond, you know, is to either deny that it was bad, or, you know, get on our case, or own it, you know.
And that's what Sandra Bullock did when she accepted. I was there.
Yes.
She was combative in a very funny way.
Yes.
Challenging. The fact that have you actually seen All About Steve? It's not that bad.
Well, she challenged people from the audience to come up, and she'd read a line, and would they read a line, and we'll decide who did the better job. And my favorite part of that whole thing is, for years I had this fantasy of someone mentioning the Razzies on the red carpet at the Oscars, and every crew on that red carpet the next night asked her, they said, "Weren't you at another show last night?" And she had a perfect sense of humor. If she said, "It'll be displayed in my home, but it's going to be on the lowest shelf."
I love that.
And the point being is that a response of any kind will make you look good.
All right, that said, the current odds at Gold Derby, predictions of who's going to win, Donald Trump is way out front. Do you think he'll own it, assuming he wins? And I assume, given the margin he has now, if that keeps going, he probably will.
Well, he's a previous winner, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
He played himself. What? No? What?
I'm sorry, he hasn't picked up his Razzie, and it's Roddy.
No, and it's from what, 1991. But he did a thing with Bo Derek called Ghosts Can't Do It. Anthony Quinn was unfortunately also trapped in this film. And he played himself. And we didn't think he was convincing as himself in 1991, and we sure as heck don't in 2000.
And that was supporting. This year it's lead, so he could be like the Meryl Streep and win supporting, and then be promoted to lead.
Yes.
Yes, award strategy is very important here, moving up to lead.
Although that would be the only time Kramer versus Kramer and Ghost Can't Do It would ever appear in the same sentence.
Kevin Spacey did it, went from supporting to lead. This year we have, let's have Marcus ask this question about the nominees this year. Go ahead.
Well, before we do that, there is 10 years ago, the Oscars went up from 5 to 10 Best Picture nominees. And I was just wondering, would you guys ever consider going up? Because you're still at 5 for Worst Picture.
Well, when we started, we had 10 very first year, and it does dilute the vote. I think the Academy has close to 5,000 members. We have approximately 1,000 members, and we might consider it. One of the things we're looking at, because next year happens to be our 40th anniversary, we are looking at expanding what qualifies you for a Razzie to finally bring in Netflix and all other platforms that have arisen since, because we've missed Adam Sandler. Let me put it that way.
He's over at Netflix now. Do you mean the Razzies? John, do you mean the Razzies actually have eligibility rules?
Well, we as part of the joke, we always do, well, they do this. We call the other guys the giving out of the little gold naked men. And they take themselves really seriously, which makes them a wonderful target for something like what we do. But yes, at this point, it has to have played in a public admission theatrical engagement for 7 entire days between X and X. And Ghost Can't Do It just barely qualified. I happened to be in San Francisco the week it was playing, and convinced my brother to skip a speech by Mikhail Gorbachev to go see Bo Derek. So my priorities are off.
Well, this year we have 3 movies with 6 nominations apiece. We have Gotti, The Happy Time Murders, and Holmes and Watson. And I was looking up some reviews of these before we started, and I found this great one of Gotti from What the Flick. They said, "You never forget that you are watching John Travolta playing Gotti every time. You never forget it."
Well, and it's interesting also, I believe just before he did Gotti, he played O.J. Simpson's head lawyer in a movie about that case. Yeah. And it seems to me it's kind of redundant, isn't it?
No, he was okay in that one. This was on every single level was horrible filmmaking. Everything. I mean, the thing was shot in masters. I mean, I just say that because generically it was. And it was just a horrible script, horrible performances, horrible directing, horrible everything.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
Right now at Gold Derby, let me give you an update on the predictions. We have about 600 people. It's only been a couple days since nominations been out. We have 600 voting. More than half pick Gotti, and it's like 342, and then 116 for Holmes and Watson, and then everything falls off after that. So this is Gotti versus Holmes and Watson.
Yeah.
Holmes and Watson. Rolling Stone had this to say about Holmes and Watson. It's so painfully unfunny, we're not sure it can legally be called a comedy.
Well, and the print ads use the phrase, they don't have a clue. And I'm wondering, did they understand that kind of could be taken 2 different ways?
I know, that's wonderful. John Travolta can be happy that that Donald Trump's in the same category because clobbering him right now.
That could be what saves him. May I tell my John Travolta anecdote from back in the days of Battlefield Earth? My favorite,
which swept the Razzies.
Yes. One of the 10 worst things ever created with a film camera. But I read that somebody at the press junket for whatever his next movie was said, well, did you know, blah, 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 blah. And they basically said, your movie swept the Razzie Awards. And Travolta said, I have people I pay to keep me from finding out things like that. Oh, wow. And my mind went to the mental picture of him opening his morning newspaper, and it looks like Swiss cheese. All the bad news has been cut out. He doesn't know what's really going on. But then he said, I was in the company of Madonna, which in the 80s, that was a pretty good bet. If you were in a movie that was Razzie nominated, you were next to Madonna. But he didn't really acknowledge what the awards were saying. And I will say, Battlefield Earth is a wretched film, but boy, is it funny. Unfortunately for me, I saw it on a matinee 2 doors down from the Scientology headquarters.
Ooh.
I could not figure out why the audience was applauding and responding positively to this film. I thought, what are they on? What is this? Well, as we exited, I noticed everyone but me headed to the business door that said Scientology of California. Apparently, they were sending their staff over there to be shills to try to convince people like me that they were seeing a good movie. It did not work.
Wow.
But let's try.
For worst,
go ahead, Marcus.
For worst actress, Melissa McCarthy is way out ahead for The Happy Time Murders, and it's funny. This is one of the rare years that somebody is nominated for a Razzie and for an Oscar, because she's up for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Mo, do you want to address the Redeemer angle on that one?
Sure. And it is something to do with all of our contenders for the Redeemer, is that they've broken out of their self-imposed molds. And that's basically what she's done in this new role. Personally, I thought that her sidekick was really colorful and interesting, a lot more than she was in the role. But it is still breaking out of her, broad comedy kind of silly roles that she's kind of fallen into. And that's, but that, and then really that's my opinion on it. That's my opinion.
And now this year, the Gold Derby user base will be determining the winner of the Redeemer Award. And right before we did this, thank you for that, trusting our user base to come up with the right answer. Is undergoing now. Everybody wants you to go to the Gold Derby Prediction Center, cast your vote. This is not a prediction, you're voting. And then what you'll notice in our lobby page, where all the things are that you choose to predict the Gold Derby, Razzies predictions, predicting all the Razzies, is right next to, side by side, the Razzie Redeemer Award, where you can actually vote. And today we now have more people voting for the Razzies than predicting them. Mm-hmm. So that's how impressed the user base is at Gold Derby.
Well, and we need to acknowledge our user base. This list of the 5 choices, which beyond Melissa McCarthy, can you do the list for me in a minute, Mo? Sure. These came from our members. They on our forum. We asked them, who do they think it should be? And then when we realized they're actually quite an interesting assortment of choices. There's a studio, there's a franchise, there's an actor, there's a director, there's an actress. Mo will name them in a moment. But it's a real race this year. Generally speaking, there aren't a whole lot of choices for the Redeemer Award.
I think that what we wanted to do. I mean, they instigated it, and then we went a little bit further with it. And it's what's really cool about it is overall, it really is all of these 5 entities have broken out of their their molds with what they've accomplished this year. And some of them are incredible, like the trajectory with Peter Farrelly, from the kind of his broad comedy shtick past stuff to an incredibly deep and heartfelt movie like Green Book, which is, I've seen all the contenders for the Oscars, and that's my favorite, which is, it's like watching an old time movie and just falling into it, and just, it's delicious on every single level, with the deepness of the characters and that. And then also with, I'm going to go on. Is that okay?
Yes, but I want you to acknowledge, because this is what you guys do so well, is that when something is so bad it's good kind of thing. In other words, Dumb and Dumber is a really good movie. I'm sorry, it's just it is a.
Well, you and I agree on that.
Stupid, really good, stupid movie, right? I mean, and so you guys kind of acknowledge things like that with a wink and a nod.
Oh, sure.
Well, the original Dumb and Dumber I liked. The sequel was a Razzie contender. But yeah, something can be dumb as a post and still be entertaining. Yeah. We acknowledge that. But occasionally it's dumb as a post and it's not even entertaining.
John, I know your worst. Yeah. I know your favorite winner of all time at the Razzies. It's Showgirls. You've told me. Mo, what is your absolute favorite worst Razzie winner?
I would go back to oh gosh darn it, what not the Xanadu, but what was the
Can't Stop the Music?
Yeah, Can't Stop.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah. No, I would go back, because it is, you can actually watch it all the way through and just, enjoy how stupid it is. Yeah, and I actually forget a lot of the other ones.
I think that's the whole point of the Razzies is that you don't forget. Bad.
Well, no, I was going to say she has the gift of forgetting. Unfortunately for me, I do not.
Therein lies a lot of the truth.
Some of the former Redeemer winners, I love the Razzie Redeemer. Ben Affleck, Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson. Have any of these guys been nominated for a Razzie after they were redeemed?
Yes.
Oh no! I think Gibson might have been. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, they've gone on to do not great things afterwards. I can't remember John.
And the Redeemer Award is only like 4 or 5 years old, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, and what it's meant to say, as Mo said earlier, this is not the end of anything. When you do a Razzie, it's like you stumbled, but if you get back up and keep going, you can still do great stuff. This should not hobble you from exhibiting the talent that got you to where somebody foolishly thought, hey, John Travolta in Battlefield Earth, great idea. These are people with enormous talent who've made mistakes. These are not people who can't make good stuff. And the Redeemer is acknowledging that, and that it's possible to blow it and come back again and be in that circle that the night after our show, you're on the carpet you want to be on.
Like Ben Affleck.
We have Melissa in 2 categories. We have her in as Worst Actress and as the Razzie Redeemer. So that's all in the same year.
Oh, that's a good point. Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other very interesting contenders are Transformers. I mean, who would have thunk that they could turn around and do a very endearing, innocent movie? And it might be the fact that it's written by a woman, maybe. And but it's a it's a very, you can hang with it, it's not offensive on every level. And as well as Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie, that was incredibly endearing, and they explore these very interesting relationships that I appreciate, and they haven't done that in the past. And it's like, it doesn't take much to turn around and do a good movie. Really doesn't,
We're talking about Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse now,
Sure.
Which has really been sweeping the early accolades.
Right.
Johnny Depp is back.
That came from the studio that we gave a lot of Razzie accolades to. Emoji.
We are secretly hoping. Oh, I'm sorry, Mo.
Oh, that's okay.
We are secret. Oh, I'll stop. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's a perfect example of, bad filmmaking versus, good filmmaking. The Emoji versus, Spider-Man, which is, Spider-Man being great writing and Emoji being, kind of not great writing.
Well, I was going to say, you guys mentioned Johnny Depp. I would say he's overdue for a Redeemer Award. We're here waiting. When he does it, we'll acknowledge it. We hope he does, because that guy, he has done some fabulous stuff, and he's done some stuff that we didn't think was that good, but the public loved. So yeah, he has it in him to redeem his career. He's at about 11:58 p.m. now.
John, I've been giving you grief for all these years about Mommy Dearest.
Now you're going to bring up Mommy Dearest, aren't you?
Am I ever going to convince you that it's a great movie instead of one of the worst?
Well, it is
wrong that year. I give John grief about this all the time. And I appreciate the fact that the Razzies are so hilarious that you have to run with that sometimes. And that when you do, that means sometimes you have to deliberately and intentionally mistake can't for bad. And can't acting, can't perform, can be good. And Faye Dunaway gave an immortal performance, and So anyway, have I
You said immortal, not immoral, right?
That's right.
She was not aiming to win a Razzie. And by the way, she didn't actually win Worst Actress outright. She tied with Bo Derek in that awful Tarzan movie.
Did she? Okay.
She had it in her contract. She intended to win an Academy Award for Mommy Dearest. She had it in her contract, and they took out ads in the trades saying Faye Dunaway, Best Actress, and they found the 3 reviews they could use. And if you love that movie, I love that movie, but I love it in a 180-degree different way than you do. The thing is, if you love the movie, there is something there. But for me, the whole over the top, the wire hangers and bring me the axe, and even the line where the radio guy goes, "What's going to happen with the kids tonight when we leave, Miss Crawford?" And you're just thinking, "She's going to beat the crap out of him." It just is so excessively dramatic that you, on some levels, I kind of wonder how could they not have noticed that this would get reacted to the way it was. And by the way, Paramount embraced the whole camp thing with an ad that they immediately took down because the producer threatened to sue them. They were selling the movie with a wire hanger dangling off the title and the tagline, "The biggest mother of them all." So even the releasing studio on some level agreed with us. So I think I won that round.
Mo, give me the example for you of where you personally have disagreed most seriously with the Razzies. In other words, saying, hey, wait a minute. Some movies like Cleopatra is a good example. Historically, the Liz Taylor, denounced as a train wreck. It was so bad it crashed a whole studio. But yet, you know what? It's a pretty good movie. Do you have any?
I agree, actually. I think it's a much better movie than people think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your number one quarrel with your own award, Mo? In terms of the winner?
You know what? I really cannot tell you. I don't know. I mean, there is. I don't think that, you know. I'm sorry. I really can't. I'd have to agree with everything that's you know, that has been up for.
We get a lot of grief and continue to over the years for having nominated Stanley Kubrick. I think it was the very first year as the director of The Shining. But the much smaller voting membership at that time, most of us had read the novel, and we wanted to see the novel on the screen. And whatever you think of what Kubrick did, it's not Stephen King's novel that's on the screen there. He took out all kinds of great set pieces. He improvised stuff. I personally don't think Nicholson was appropriate casting as the character, but people still get really, the other one they get mad about, and I saw it before he dubbed his performance, Al Pacino in Scarface. I saw dailies on that thing, and he sounded like Ricky Ricardo on acid. I mean, he was ridiculous. The screening at the studio, people were laughing at it, and they went back in and re-recorded his voice, partly because you couldn't understand a word that he was saying. But there are certain things that at the time we nominated them, our membership honestly thought they were bad, and they have stood the test of time. I still don't think Scarface is a good movie, but I can see how in a video game world, a guy who's into coke and guns would be interesting to people. But I'm trying to think there have been times when I didn't totally agree with what the members chose. I actually felt free to vote for what I wanted to the year of Battlefield Earth because it was getting so many votes. It didn't matter what I did. I actually voted for, I'm trying to remember what it was called, the one where Adam Sandler was the son of Satan, Little Nicky, was that it?
Yeah.
I thought that was a far more egregious movie. But yeah, I have to say, if you look over the arc of history, to get a little too serious, I think we've done a reasonable job of not only picking stuff that was deserving, but that also reflects the mood of the movie-going public at the time we gave something a Razzie. We were a bit prescient with Bill Cosby, I will say, because he was the most popular person on earth when we gave him a Razzie.
And didn't he accept?
Yes, he was also the first person of his caliber. They came at us in a curious way. his people came to us and said, "Well, you call it the Golden Raspberry Award. It better be made out of gold." And we said, "Well, it's spray paint." And then Fox Television, which was in its infancy at the time and looking to get anyone of Cosby's caliber, they agreed to spend, I think it was $28,000 to make 3 actual gold and Italian marble replicas of the Razzie Award. And then he accepted them on a late night show. And then he looked at the numbers and said, well, nobody saw it. He took them on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and he had a blast. He and Carson just joking about the whole thing of this movie was so bad, they took it off 2 days before it was released. Cosby did, to his credit, embrace how awful Leonard Part 6 was, but we were about the only people who saw it. I think I don't even remember if we did a field trip. A group of us went to see it. I don't think there were very many other people in the theater, and it was opening night.
Well, this is the 39th Razzies. That means next year is going to be 40 years you've been doing this. Do you have anything special that you might do for the 40th next year?
Yeah, we're going to be broadcast.
Oh, good. I've been rooting for that forever.
Well, we want to be sure that the first time the Razzies are broadcast, they don't deserve a Razzie. That's been part of it. Some of the ideas people have come at us with about how somebody wanted to turn it into a roast. Somebody wanted to take the word worst out of everything. It's like, well, that's kind of the idea. But when we find the right partner, and then the other thing I mentioned about possible Netflix and other platforms other than theatrical release finally being eligible. And then in true show business tradition, if we hit 40, aren't we supposed to get a facelift?
Yes, you are. But let's explain the reason that it's so difficult to get a broadcast deal, or a big production deal from someone, and that is the celebrities aren't going to be there. At least.
Well, we've worked.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah, but we've worked all that stuff out. We have a Razzie Redeemer. I'm sorry, Razzie reporter running out to chase them down. We've really addressed all kinds of fun ways to deal with all of that, and we have ideas about hosts that could be. It's something. It's fun, and it's own your bad, and look, we all make mistakes. Look at us, we're the Razzies, we're not that, we can't claim to be any better than anybody else. So, it's something that, that I think people would really embrace. And I think it would be fun to have previous Razzie winners be presenters. I want to get rid of my Razzie, things like that. There's just so many different fun ways that it can be dealt with. And truly, it's really been a matter of the right partner and the right deal for us. And we've held out, because we have had offers.
Good. Final question, Mo, you start, then John, then Marcus. And you might have professional integrity and refuse to answer this question, and I will respect. Here's the question, Mo. Who are you voting for at the Razzies this year?
Okay. Well, let me look at the list. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, for Redeemer, I'm voting for Green Book. That is my favorite movie. And where's the list? Darn it. Okay. I was so disappointed with Winchester, which could have been a great movie. It's an incredible story, and boy, did they blow that. And with Helen Mirren, that's just a disappointment. Okay, who was up for actor?
Johnny Depp.
It's Donald Trump, and it's
Donald Trump. Oh God, he's in your face today, right? Okay, that's where enough of him. Okay, Donald Trump.
Travolta, Will Ferrell, Johnny Depp, and Bruce Willis.
Donald Trump has been the biggest disappointment of anybody, of all of them, everybody.
But this is an acting award.
I know, but he doesn't act very well.
All right, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would concur with Maureen. The way I like to put it is the full title of the category is worst performance in a leading role. I don't think anyone else has ever, including George W. Bush, who won a Razzie as himself in the previous Fahrenheit, has given a worse performance in the leading role of President of the United States than Mr. Trump. For actress, personally, I will be voting for Helen Mirren. There are only 3 actresses I can think of that until this year I would have thought they're never going to be a Razzie contender. Meryl Streep, Maggie Smith, and until about 4 days ago, Helen Mirren. I do not understand an actress of her talent and caliber and abilities looking at that script and going, oh, I want to do this. And then for worst picture, I think because my whole life I have loved the character of Sherlock Holmes, and it's difficult to see it trashed in such a boneheaded way as Holmes and Watson manages to achieve. It's like if you took Robin Hood and made him one of the village people. Let's put it that way.
Okay, Marcus, we leave the final vote tattling to you. Who are you going to vote for at the Razzies?
Well, I'm going to go across the board, Death of a Nation. So Donald Trump, Melania Trump. I guess it's in the
Kellyanne Conway's nominated. I guess
she is, but how do you vote Melania versus Kellyanne? Can you do a tie? So yeah, worst screen combo, worst rip off, remake or prequel. It's going to get all my votes.
My vote is I have too much integrity to tell you what I'm going to vote for in all the categories. So I blab on one.
Well, there had to be one here, right?
And this is where you guys really nail it with your list of the way you do the nomination list. For example, in worst screen combo, where you've got Donald J. Trump and his pettiness as a couple up against Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Kelly Preston and John Travolta. Any 2 actors or puppets in the Happy Time Murders, which is a puppet whodunit, of course, and Johnny Depp, and fast fading career out in Sherlock Gnomes. Shame on you, bad people. You deserve it, though. That said. Okay, well, look, we will, everybody, make your predictions at Gold Derby in all these categories, including the Redeemer Award. I'm not going to tell you if it's actually reflective of the real winner, because Marcus and I do know the vote tally so far. But you have to vote for the winner of the Redeemer Award at Gold Derby, and you have to give us your predictions there, and have fun with these Razzies, because it makes everybody smarter and a little more honest if someone's in the room going, that's bad. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Oscar season and Razzie season.
Okay. Bye-bye.